Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today we're going to change the format just a little bit, and we're going to be interviewing probably one of the nicest people, actually the nicest YouTuber I've ever met, Mr. Aaron Palos. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks, man. Good to have you in Colorado Springs.
I know. We drove all the way out here just to interview, and my big thing is I wanted you to be my first automotive YouTube video, I guess, interview, because, you know, people don't believe me that people in the automotive industry are not very friendly, they're not very warm, and I found that especially when it came to automotive YouTube. But when I met you on the rally, Will had nothing but great things to say about you. Oh yeah, shout out to Will for watching
Will's
this.
an awesome guy, by the way.
Yeah, make sure you follow them, Bilco, on Instagram. But he introduced us, and I was shocked. I thought Will was one of the nicest people, and then I met you and your wife, and you guys were just awesome. And so I want to do kind of behind the scenes on, like, just, you know, a little bit about yourself, what got you started in YouTube and everything else.
Absolutely, man. So like what I got started, how I got started?
Yeah, like I would say just a 5-minute essay, just like of who you are as a person. So this way they get the person behind the camera, and then we can go into the YouTube segment.
So I used to work in like websites and stuff, like before I did any of the YouTube stuff, but I always had like a love of cars, and I was like, you know, I bet I could figure out YouTube if I give it a chance and I have some time to work on it. And honestly, like, it took a long time before we found anything that worked on YouTube. I think we had one decent video early on where we took our horribly like chrome wrapped AMG GTS. That was our only million hit video at the time, I think.
Only million, such a humble gentleman, 1 million videos. I would die.
Yeah, but like,
I got 1 million
what's
views.
funny is like now that we do automotive news, like we almost never get numbers that high because like it's just there's no longevity in any of that content. It's only like for that day.
Yeah.
So we kind of gave up on like the big viral stuff in favor of things that are like topical and relevant for like a day-to-day thing. But we did like automotive vlogs for probably like 2 years with not really any significant traction. We had that video. We had a couple like. We did like Ubers and like Ferraris a couple times, which were fun, but didn't build any long-lasting respect for the channel. And then the thing that actually got us to change over from automotive news was Salamander and Senna going up in flames.
I remember
so
that.
like this was a weird thing. So that happened, and then for whatever reason, he stayed very, very quiet about what happened for about a week and a half. So we like had been watching his videos for a long time, and we're like, oh, like that looks like his, even though he's not commenting on it at all. It had like the same stickers and the color scheme, and like that was a time where there was no one else doing any sort of news on automotive YouTubers at all. So we made a video on that. Everybody in the video told us that we were wrong, but that video got like 600,000 hits, which was crazy for us at the time.
Yeah, actually, I remember watching that whole video.
Yeah, and we barely knew what we were doing. We basically wished him well, and we're like, you know, we hope he's okay. This looks to be his. And then like a week and a half later, after this video gained a ton of traction, then he put out his video discussing it. And at that point, we'd been getting maybe 2,000 views on normal vlogs, and I was like, well, if there's something like there's a craving for news on automotive YouTubers, especially things that they're not talking about, like maybe that's what we could end up like shifting our channel to. And basically from that day on, like we pepper in vlogs every once in a while, but it's just been pretty much automotive news since then about the community.
Yeah,
generally.
no, that's one of the reasons why I started watching your channel. I remember watching the AMG video and a few of the vlog videos, and I kind of watched here and there. But then once you started with like the news channels, it really caught my attention because we talked a little bit off camera that I was originally like, oh, maybe someone should do something in the automotive news, and you just hit it right on the head and just took off with it. And since then, I started watching your stuff almost, like I said, on a daily. Like I was just kind of, I didn't want to, when I first started YouTube, I was trying not to watch anybody because I didn't want to be influenced.
That's what I did for the first like 2 years. I was like, I want to be like Stradman or something like that. So I was like trying to do like the same sort of like expressions and stuff like that. It was so hard not to because he was so successful at that time, and obviously even more so now. But I was like, I emulated his style way too much, and finding my own niche was like such a godsend for me for the channel. Otherwise, I don't think we would have made it at all.
Yeah, the way you transitioned I thought was brilliant because, like I said, now it's like it's something that people tune into almost every week, almost like a TV show. And that's kind of one of the things that I want to do, like, okay, Monday this, Tuesday this, Thursday this, and just build this kind of flow of information that really brings your people in. But one thing that I laughed at was as I started to do YouTube and I started doing videos, people would ask me, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And I was like, you know what, let me watch Life of Palos. Let me see what's going on real quick just to make sure that I'm not copying somebody. Because I remember building a 1967 Mustang Fastback. I wanted to go ahead and take the shell of the 67 and put it on a modern Mustang. And I remember in my comment section, people are blowing it up like, oh, B is for Build is doing that, blah, blah, blah. And so I was a little worried. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to watch his channel because I don't want to see what he's doing. So I went to your channel to watch it, and you were talking about it.
We did.
And it was very neat. And you guys both started, or he did and you were using the E word.
We don't even say that in jest here.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's bad juju. And so I heard him say that, and I was really worried. I was like, I need to reach out to either you or him. And so I actually messaged him on Instagram, but at that time, I think my channel had like 3,000 subs. So I was, a nobody. So, and I didn't want him to get in trouble because we used to do builds for Barrett Jackson and Meekum. And I used to watch, these guys would use the E word on their Mustang Fastbacks.
Can't do it.
And as soon as they would wait to sell, until it ran across the block, and then they would sue him and say, you owe us X amount of dollars because you used our name to sell that vehicle, so you better give us the proceeds or whatever else. And so
that legal team that goes after that particular thing that we're talking about is tenacious, more so than I've ever seen anyone do anything in the
I thought Disney was hardcore with copywriting.
This is like a different level.
Yeah, I mean, like that's why I'm even afraid to like mention the E word, because it was just like,
yeah, we're talking about something different.
It's exactly. So, but it's like, but it blew me away. But I remember tuning into your channel because that was like my way to stay in touch with the automotive community, but not watch something so I'm not claimed like I'm stealing somebody's content. Because I remember when I first started YouTube, and I remember watching it on your channel, it was very big that if somebody bought a Lambo, which is, I mean, everybody's got a Lambo.
That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah,
nobody cares.
Nobody cares. But then, like, I remember watching one guy getting like a wrap, and somebody got a similar color wrap, and they were just in the comments like, "Oh, you copied so and so, you copied so and so," and it's like, it was the weirdest thing. So I wanted to stay away from that. So that's why I would tune into your channel. Now, as your channel progressed, well, it's like I said, I loved how you pivoted from that to news. Once you started, like, what made you realize that like the news was going to be your thing? Like that was going to be the hit that was going to take you guys over to what are your subscribers now?
I think we're like 280 something.
280.
It slowed down a little bit after COVID was like a weirdly strange time. Like we gained the most number of subscribers we've ever had all during that period because everyone was at home.
Yeah.
Ad rates were garbage during that time.
Yeah.
But we had like the best video views we've ever had. And then like after that, it sort of like tapered off a little bit. And honestly, I think people started getting really bored of the kind of content that we'd been doing, which was like, oh, who's got the new Lambo? Like, are they going to be buying this car? So it took like probably about a year and like 2 months for that kind of content to be completely boring. No one cares anymore. Like it used to be a really big deal to be like, oh, is Daily Driven Exotics or Stradman going to buy a Mercy or something like that? I mean, that could be like easy 100,000 hits.
Yeah.
That no one cares anymore because now they can buy generally whatever car they want, unless we're talking about hypercars.
Yeah,
and even then, so there's not really like, there's no climb. Like part of the reason why I think our channel took off in the time frame that it did was because we were also following all these up and comers, and now that doesn't exist. Like not in the same way. There are up and comers, but like it's so there's I don't know. The entire like automotive vlogging community is like it's all very similar. Like there's not a lot of people doing different stuff right now. It's one of the reasons why Whistle and Diesel is doing so well, because his content is so extremely different from anyone else.
Yeah.
Like it's not even strictly car stuff, but it's car centered for a lot of stuff. But that's the reason why he's getting 40 million hits a month now.
Oh yeah, no, I that's one thing that I thought that was pretty interesting is like you said, we kind of rode that wave up of watching all these YouTubers, get 2 Lambos, 2 Ferraris, changing exhaust, all this crazy stuff, and it got burnt out. And that was one of the things I was trying to do with my channel was, like I purposely, like I love my R8. Some of you guys know I have one, but some people that watch don't even know I have it. I don't ever show it on camera.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm buying an exhaust and wrapping my car because I feel they've seen it 10,000 times from every other automotive YouTuber. And so one of the things that I liked about your channel is the same thing I'm doing on mine, is where we're making content with at least a little bit of educational information, but I love the way you stay neutral. You don't show any bias, you just report the news. And I think that's something that I really wanted to talk about, was the fact that like when you report stuff, you give both sides the information. You don't come up with your own conclusion. You tell people in the crowd, hey, this is what it is, and I think that's what makes you like an honest YouTuber. Like, what is your opinion as far as like when you report the news? Do you feel that you're giving like a true unbiased opinion? Because I think that's huge for me to you, like as a, I guess, journalist. that's one of the I think the best things about your channel.
I really try. I think it's impossible to ever be like truly unbiased. Like I'm sure it comes through to some degree, like what I feel. But generally, like even if I really disagree with something that's going on, I'll still provide like the other side of it. Especially near like the end of a segment or something like that. I'll be like, hey, like, do you think this is happening or is it the exact opposite? Like, let me know what you think in the comments. I very rarely talk about my own personal opinion, and honestly, the times that I do on sort of issues or topics that are outside of the normal people that we cover, I feel like that's almost what gets me into trouble sometimes, because I'm like, I don't like this, and people are like, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, all right, maybe I won't. So we've generally stayed like, we'll present what's going on, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I think it works better for not getting in trouble with people, and also like not having like a strong opinion just sort of keeps me out of the muck, I guess sometimes.
No, yeah, it's like you're rising above it, because I've seen other YouTubers try to copy what you're doing, but they always throw in their 2 cents because they want to be like a talk show radio type of thing.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they're saying the wrong thing. They get bashed by, either people, their own fans. When you get roasted by your own fans, that's pretty bad. And I've seen that because people come with these strong, overly opinionated options. But with you, I've even seen you even go a step above, where like you've done some stories and maybe some of the facts weren't all there, and you did a retraction or you talked about it like I said, like a professional journalist.
Yeah, like actually that's happened a couple times where I've misheard something or we got some information wrong, and like literally the next episode we'll start off and be like, hey, we got this wrong in the last episode. Sorry about that. I'm a one-man team. We do our absolute best. I think it's important to correct yourself if you mess something up. I don't know why you wouldn't.
100%. That's why I'm saying this is literally the nicest automotive YouTuber on earth, because I've heard these guys through the years. I won't mention names, but like they just, get something wrong, totally like lie about it, or maybe they just got misinformed and now the information's out there, maybe make a retraction or change your statement. Nope. You're the only one that I've seen in our community that's actually like, hey, you know what, my bad. The story I got was this, but today we got some new information.
This just happened recently, actually. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh,
I
no,
was
go
going to
for
say, like there was a situation where someone sent me a couple of local news articles from, I think it was Ohio, but there was like, it was video of like a Ferrari and I think a Lambo like going down a runway.
Yeah.
And like the article was like, it was a live runway, like they were doing lawless activity, all this kind of crazy stuff. And so I was like, okay, like we'll talk about that. And then like I got contacted from the people that were driving. And they're like, that was an entire hit piece. None of that was true. We're going after them.
Oh,
and like the next day I was like, crap, like I feel so bad. Like I didn't even know, I couldn't tell like who they were during the video, and no one had their Instagram handles out. So I would have contacted them had I seen that.
Yeah.
But then the next day we were like, we messed it up. I'm so sorry. Like don't, hopefully, not get too mad. But
no, that's the thing. You went above and beyond. Like I remember when Rob Ferretti had that issue with renting that exotic car in Vegas, and I rented the exact same car, and I remember he put out that video, and Rob was thanking me for sending him the picture and everything else because I rented a similar car. But people thought since I was in the rental business, that was my car. So I remember you reached out to me. You're like, hey, Rob's putting out a video. A lot of people are saying,
I knew what he meant.
Yeah.
But it sounded like. It was such an offhanded comment during his video, like if I remember correctly, like people were like, oh, he must be talking about Lucky.
Yeah.
Like, nope, that's not what happened. Even I could tell that from that.
But at least you reached out to me and like, was this true? Oh no, this was another company that did the rental. I was just there renting the same car and sent the pictures and helped them out. And that's why I know Rob has a big fan group. Like all I got was Mr. Spaghetti all up and down my timeline. I'm like, who in the hell is Mr. Spaghetti? Because I only know him as Rob. And then all of a sudden I was just like, you guys are idiots. So I had to reach out to Rob after I talked to you. I was like, can you do me a favor? Can you put that in the comments? Lucky's my friend. He's helping me out, whatever else. And we did that. And still to this day, actually last week I had somebody say, well, 100K for somebody that ripped off Mr. Spaghetti for 100K. And I was like, I didn't do that. I was like, that's not me. And so, but just the fact that you take the time to check the facts before you just start grabbing stuff and running with it. Because I hate to say it, like I love YouTube, but I mean, just the way people watch and the mentality of like, I'm just going to watch the maybe 10 seconds in and I'll watch the whole clip and put a comment down right away.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, that's not even what this video is about.
Right.
That's why like with these clickbait things we're talking about, I think that's going to die because as people are watching it, they're actually going to react to, I guess, the real term, or at least watch the video before you comment. But I want to get into something, I guess, a little more lighthearted now that we got the journalistic integrity out of the way. What are your top 5 cars that you could ever want?
Oh man, this is going to be probably like a pretty typical list.
Yeah,
here.
and it doesn't even have to be in order, just whatever you feel.
I've always loved the McLaren P1.
McLaren P1, beautiful car.
Yeah, I think that means it's just I got a chance to ride one. I've not driven one yet, but I had a chance to drive or ride in Triple F collections. That they had a Koenigsegg Regera too that I was just like, this might be the most beautiful car I've ever seen in person. Their Sabre was pretty cool, but I don't know if I'd like it quite as much as like some of the more. I mean, even though it's very rare and stuff,
Yeah.
I think probably have something else. Love the 918.
19.
Love the LaFerrari.
LaFerrari.
Let me think of. There's got to be one other crazy car. I don't know. Maybe like a Rimac Navara, just for this like next 2 or 3 year.
The next gen. So we got that one.
Just for now.
So we got a bunch.
Crazy.
We got a futuristic hypercar. We got some other ones. Let's go back a little bit. Do you have a favorite, maybe classic car, old car to finish out your top
Diablo.
5?
Like yellow,
Diablo.
like normal, like first what gen, like Lamborghini Diablo. It was a car that I had like on my wall as a kid. That's like what got me into cars. My dad had like a love of cars too, so he would like tell me everything I could possibly know about cars. And then we go to car shows and stuff like that. And I remember seeing like, one of the first Diablos I ever saw. And like, I think it was a Lotus Exige too, or not Exige, but Esprit.
Yeah.
If I remember right. That was one of the first exotic cars I ever saw. And I was hooked after that.
Yeah, actually my first exotic car that I ever saw was a 30th anniversary edition of the Lamborghini Diablo Yoda, this metallic purple. The color, you cannot justify it until you see it in person. Just beautiful. But
it.
same thing. Right after that, I begged my dad, please get me a poster. So he got me a poster of a Countach. I told him that was the wrong car. He got me one of a Diablo. I was like, that's still the wrong car. And so I ended up finding one, a little model of the 30th. But same thing, that was like my dream car when I was a kid, just staring at it every single day. Now, here's another fun one that I like to ask people. What are your 5 top automotive YouTubers to watch?
This is going to be weird because
Excluding myself, of course.
I watch so much automotive YouTube now. It's like it's hard to even know, like, because I watch it, for my job. So I'll jump in and watch everybody. I'm trying to think of the people that I truly enjoy right now.
Yeah, just as a person, like who you enjoy watching, and then we'll follow this one up with maybe one that's under the radar. So
I'll start off with Rich Rebuilds because he always is able to make me laugh. Like I'll tell people, like, my hook to get people to watch Rich is to be like, watch the first 30 seconds of any of his videos, because he'll have you laughing. Like his comedic approach to doing like automotive, everything that he does is so refreshing. There's not many funny people in the automotive world.
That's why I feel so bad. I'm trying to do these videos because in person, all I do is I talk trash and I make people laugh. And it's like, but when I get in I call it my news outlets, like I get very like, very monotone, very Ben
kind of the same way.
Stein, yeah. And it's like I feel repetitive. I'm like, okay, folks, this is how you do it. And I feel like a teacher, and I want to bring my personality across. But I've heard that from multiple people that Rich Rebuilds is a funny guy. One of these days I got to meet him. I'm going to reach out to him.
I mean, he was on Rogan's podcast a while back too.
Yeah,
I think that was like not his claim to fame early, but definitely like gave him some extra credibility as he started doing more and more YouTube work.
Yeah.
Rich Rebuilds is fantastic. I'm trying to think of like channels that I really like watch I actually really like Shmee's videos.
Shmee, okay.
Especially after having met him and I actually interviewed him here when he was coming through the US. Like if I want to get like the full rundown on a car, like I don't know if there's many people that are better than Tim. It was super. Everything that he does is just so top notch, and the guy has a work ethic that puts like mine to shame.
Oh no, you can tell when somebody loves the car, but then loves the business itself. Yeah, when I watch his videos, like he's just. Like they'll ask him about something 5 years ago, like this car came out here, and he's like correcting people at news outlets. Oh, this car actually has 602 horsepower, not 603.
He's an encyclopedia.
Yeah, it's like it's all in his head. But that's why I think it's so great, is because when you can tell that like a person is passionate about something, it comes through the camera. I think that's why Shmee just kind of like, no matter what like year it is, I see him keep going up, because a lot of these YouTubers we talk about.
He's so consistent too. I think he's got 4,500 videos.
Yeah,
it's something crazy.
Yeah, and he's just, everyone is just like sincere. Like he'll get a brand new Ford Focus ST and be just like, oh my God, I got this beautiful Ford Focus ST, and he's the same way whether he gets a hypercar or a Ford Focus. It blows me away. So
it was cool talking with him about like his love for certain cars of his collection, like his Ford GT in particular. Yeah. I think he likes that car maybe more than any other car he's ever owned. He's like, that is like my channel right there. And it was really cool to hear him talk about just the love he had for that vehicle. But yeah, super authentic. So yeah, Rich, Shmee. I kind of like Jack Ultramotive stuff right now. Have you seen his channel much at all?
No, but I'll check it out now that you said that.
He used to do a lot of like, I think it was Forza type videos. So he used to do like, and that's how he got like over 1 million subscribers on his channel. And then he switched to like vlogging content. And like initially it was very slow, but he's super authentic, does like video game builds basically from Forza in real life.
Oh, wow.
He reminds me a lot of like kind of like early Stradman, like kind of like that, like super authentic, like grind upward. Super cool guy. I like his videos, and honestly, he's got an R8 that he has some really fun stuff on too. So I like seeing that, especially after your R8, man. Very cool. Let me think of some other YouTubers. Man, it's so hard. There's so many people that
I know this is why I wanted to do it, because I knew this would be a hard question, especially for an automotive YouTuber, because I can think of like 30 off the top of my head, but I think it means a lot when, especially when the other YouTubers hear this, they're going to be like, oh, he watches my channel.
I remembered one. Okay, Washness Media.
Washness Media?
Washness Media is, I've said this a million times, so if he's watching this, he'll get a big kick out of it. Like, his channel is just cinematic footage of cars. That's it. Like he'll take like, you know, high profile cars. Like he does stuff for Whistle and Diesel right now. Did his R8 in the Huracan in the desert. He's done a bunch of like the crazy 458 like GT3 kit stuff. And his cinematic montages of super and hyper cars are better than anyone else.
Oh, so he takes the cinematic and just...
It's part of it is because he has excellent shots, but the way that he like edits his videos together and generally his song selection for the videos is just, it makes me feel things for cars that I like forget about sometimes.
Okay.
I can't, that's the guy's channel. Like I've probably recommended his channel 100 times. Like literally. Like anytime he puts
that's another one I have to watch now, because you said that, I love it.
We'll watch it after this.
Yeah, okay.
It's, there was one video in particular on a 458 I did, I think from Danny's collection. Now I can't remember his Instagram handle, but just like you watch it and you're like, this is better than anything Ferrari's put out. Yeah. Like it's incredible. No, there's a young guy.
Yeah, there's some really talented videographers that just take their videos to the next level. So it's like you're thinking, man, it's a whole film crew, and it's some 22-year-old guy with, you know, a drone and a handful of things, but just very talented.
Unreal. So that for like feeling things about cars, I watch his channel. Like information comes from Shmi, humor's from Rich, cinematic stuff from Washless Media, like authentic vlogging style would be Jack Ultramotive, and like one more. Let me think. One more. Who would I want? Honestly, this is gonna sound strange. I would say I'd put you and Four Wheel Trader in channels that I think are must-watch channels. Like you guys, your insider knowledge on like the used and new car market, and like I basically, like if you're gonna buy a car, I would have people watch either yours or Four Wheel Trader's videos on like whatever's going on in that month before they would buy a car. So purely from like an informational standpoint, like I think you guys are top notch in that area. So like, you know, when you were talking about all the repo stuff, like lately, like I'm like I gotta watch this so I understand what's going on. So yeah, I would say like information wise about the car market, like you and Four Wheel Trader would be like a tie for right there.
Oh, you just made my day. I appreciate it. That's like now I
love your stuff.
Now I feel special, but and this wasn't a paid promotion at all.
Nope.
You were not paid, sir, to say that?
No.
Okay, there we go. So at least we got that one out of the way. But one thing I really like is the fact that you mention a lot of these YouTubers that are not very big. Like when I first started, I only had a few thousand people, and you gave me a shout out and saw some of my content and gave me the time of day, which I appreciate.
Yeah, sure.
One of the things that I want to ask you is, what is a YouTube channel or an automotive YouTube channel that you feel that people are sleeping on?
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Because there's so many of these talented guys that are coming out that just got some really crazy videos. Like I'll tell you one real quick, see if it'll trigger something.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Puddin's Fab Shop?
I don't think I have.
If you haven't
now
seen,
I gotta write it down and go check it out.
He is absolutely hilarious. Like if inside my shop, the way we talk to each other and always joking around and making voices, he does it but on camera, but by himself, which is just an absolute hilarious. So it's just from a pure entertainment, you'll absolutely love it. Even if you don't even like cars, he is just that funny, which is great. So I got to fly out to Oklahoma and meet this guy, but that's one that I personally enjoy.
Well, this is going to sound like a really strange choice for this, but I think one of the more underappreciated channels, I don't know how many subscribers they have now, but like Triple F Collection puts more work into their videos than most people that I know. They did like almost like a full commercial for McLaren when the Artura came out. Mm-hmm. So they have the P1 and they have the Speedtail and the Sabre. So like I think McLaren like lent them one of the first Arturas out, and they put together like Washness Media level like cinematography, but it was like almost like commercial level. It was so different. And all the comments on that video are like, how do you guys not have like 1 million subscribers? And I generally don't see that kind of comment, and like unless there's real like underappreciation going on. And that video, I could be wrong, I think only got like 40,000 views. That's like a travesty. Like the amount of work that was put on that video is like, I feel like it should be appreciated to a certain degree. But like they're like, that's a hypercar like group of people there, so it's a weird thing to say is like underappreciated. Vlogging wise, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Well, that's still kind of one. I mean, I think that hits the point where if you feel like if they're
it's
not
so saturated right now, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that now that we're watching people, like I noticed, like you just mentioned vlog, and we've already went through our top 5, and then even one unnoticed. Everyone else you gave, informational, funny, educational, cinematic brilliance, So it's funny how like, because everybody's taking it that next level forward, where like you said, the vloggers, like we're kind of burnt. Like once you started doing news, took off. I mean, you got those million view videos off of, a few of your videos, but it's like, but you hit your stride once you did informational. Now you're providing something that's, I think,
at
that's
least
good.
Interesting.
Yeah. And like I said, I'd be honest with you, when it comes to that vlogging thing, we both think
I don't like vlogging.
It's so burnt out. I mean, I can only buy so many exotic cars in a week, and
I think I maybe do one vlog every 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be just, we watch automotive YouTube all the time, or I guess this is our field, so we could be burnt out. If you're different, that's okay. But one thing I want to ask is like, what are 3 non-automotive YouTubers that you love to watch? Because I think it's funny, because when I talk to the other people, and they're like, I love this channel. You never think in a million years like a finance guy would be watching like a cooking channel. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of funny. So as I want to do these interviews, I want to find out what are just the regular people that you like to watch.
I watch Graham's channel.
We got Graham.
Shout out to Graham. Mostly because like he's able to dumb things down in the financial world so that people like me who are not particularly savvy in that area can understand it. So I really appreciate it. And I listen to that while I edit too. So I'll if something's going on, or like he puts out a video, I'll be like, I'll just have this on in the background, and it's an easy thing for me to listen to and get the general idea of what's going on, so that I can not make stupid financial decisions generally. So I love Graham's channel. I can't remember how to pronounce his last name, but Ennis for real estate. It begins with a Y, I think, but like he's got like a crazy last name, but he has the best. I love real estate for whatever reason, like watching videos on it. And I think Ennis has like one of the most incredible YouTube channels. And I started following him when he was really small, and now he's like one of the biggest. I think he might be one of the biggest.
I see some of the houses he recently did were just absolutely.
Do you know his last name? And like he has it on there, but
I'm not even going to butcher it.
I don't even want to try. But I think it's Enes, Ennis. Yeah. But his stuff is so cool.
Yeah.
I think like the cinematic shots that he does for real estate are just like amazing to watch. Like I'll just watch like the first like 5 minutes of all of his videos just to like get an idea of like what crazy $30 million house.
Every time I sell one of my cars and I feel like I made a few bucks, I watch one of his videos just to knock me back down to reality. It's okay, that $30 million house with the pool on the roof, it's not mine. It's not in the cards, but it just entertains you so much, and you get drawn in. And I've seen a lot of other people do it, but I like the way, like you said, like he does it. Just kind of. Just like Graham, like they have certain things where they just kind of draw you in and makes you want to watch more. Like there's no way in hell we can afford that house, but we're still going to watch a 20-minute video.
I love it.
Talking about how he has heated floors in his bathroom. And I'm just like, yes, this is what I need in my life.
And I probably watch Philip DeFranco, probably the most out of anybody, just for like general knowledge. I like the way that he does things. I don't necessarily agree with him a lot, like when he gives his own opinion necessarily, but I think he's very fair. We model a lot of what we do on our channel like off of elements of his. Mostly because like it doesn't matter if there's overlap between like different genres. I'm not really worried about like infringing on his anything.
Yeah, exactly.
But like actually like Megan, who like is my wife, if you guys don't know, like when she started doing editing for me for a short period of time, she took a lot of elements from what he did, like in terms of how professional things looked or didn't, and like applied it to our channel. And then my editing got a lot better just after having her do it for a little while. But I love Philip DeFranco stuff too.
Okay, so now that we've gotten those ones out of the way, what do you feel that is like a missed channel that you would like to share with somebody that's not like a really big regular YouTube channel? Something you think people should watch?
A regular YouTube channel?
Just a regular YouTube channel, just something. So this way we give everybody a shout out. Because like I said, I want this interview to kind of be not only as you as an automotive person, but just as a regular person. And I think this is interesting because as we start to do these videos, I think the people's opinions, like when I'll share some of mine in probably a later video, you guys are going to laugh at some of the stuff I watch. And it has nothing to do with cars. I watch
Man.
I watch very little. You're one of the maybe 3 automotive YouTubers that I watch.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I literally don't watch any of them.
Well,
so.
you get the news and everything else. You don't have to watch everybody else as much if you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Gosh, regular YouTube. I'd probably tell people to watch Graham. To be honest, like that's probably not exactly what you were looking for this question.
No. I mean, it's if that's the way you feel. I mean, like I tell people all the time, like his channel, like when I first did my videos, or like if you go to my home channel, I talk about like there's like a 3 type of YouTubers that I always wanted to meet and do stuff with, and Graham was one of the first ones.
Now that I think about it, Chandler David Smith would be somebody. If you're interested in real estate, like talking to that guy. So if you guys don't know, like Chandler David Smith was the guy that bought a lot of Stradman's cars over the years. I think he bought his C8, then his 458, then sold it back to him later for a crazy profit.
Yeah.
Chandler's channel is like very real estate specific. But I mean, like he's made it. That guy has like at least $25 million worth of properties.
Yeah. And also another nice guy. Like we got to meet him. He
Nice.
came to one of our parties here in Vegas.
He's such a cool guy.
Yeah, we hung out. I picked him up in the smart car, drove around Vegas. We went and took out some exotic cars from Houston's.
You'd never know that guy was like pretty wealthy dude. Like you'd never know it, which is the kind of like the way that I prefer chatting with people.
Yeah, and it's just very down to earth, funny. Like we were literally driving around, and then I remember after we were driving the Huracan and we were driving this McLaren GT, he's like, do you think I should buy a Huracan? I was like, 100%. And then like I remember like we were going back and forth, and I finally saw he got one about a month or 2 ago, which was awesome. So shout out to Chandler if you're watching this. But yeah, I mean, just a great guy.
He's the only like I guess YouTuber that I've ever taken a course from. So like he has a real estate course, and I was like, I'd love to learn about this, and like I took it and like learned a lot. And that's the only course I've ever taken from a YouTuber.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I don't talk about my past as far as real estate, but I used to fix and flip houses.
Oh yeah.
And I regret because like he was like, don't flip, just hold, get that cash flow going. Where I was taught the other way, like just fix and sell off to somebody else. And now I see him. He's got all these doors. The economy's good, economy's bad.
Yeah.
He's just growing his cash flow, and I'm just looking back I was like, where were you like 15 years ago, buddy?
I wish I'd met him like a decade ago. Like when
Yeah.
I had some early money from some of my other stuff, I didn't know what to do with it. Had I known what to do with it, I feel like
I know exactly. I know it's like
financial
our YouTube channels probably wouldn't even exist. We'd be real estate moguls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just making fun of everybody and like keeping the money to ourselves. But I think that's the best thing that I love about YouTube is the fact that like we're getting people like around our age that are doing amazing things that are actually showing the whole process, and I think Chandler's one of the few guys that does it too.
He's also one of the people that I know is not a charlatan in any way, which is, I think, maybe even more so in the real estate world. It's very difficult to know like who you're getting information from. I mean, that exists everywhere else too, but I feel like real estate is like, it's
the worst. I have a friend that also lives in Vegas. His name's Spencer Cornelia. I don't know if you've ever seen
Spencer. I like Spencer's channel too.
Yes,
I watch his a lot too.
He burned into my brain. Like I got out of the car business and I sold my dealership because I didn't want to deal with it anymore. But as I started doing automotive YouTube, I was like, I don't want to be a fake guru because you see these guys. I'm a real estate mogul. Oh, where's your real estate? Oh, I don't own any. You're like, how are you a real estate mogul, but you don't own a single piece of real estate? So I was so.
That's why I follow Baller Busters on Instagram.
Oh yeah. It's like, and so I was so afraid I don't want to be lumped in with those guys. So I was like, well, let me get my.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
Yeah, no. I mean, now I show enough on my channel, but that was the main reason why I was showing more behind the scenes. So I have to think.
You're also not like a flexer either.
Yeah,
it's like normally when you're talking, like those people are like they're flexing like cash or cars or whatever.
Yeah.
You just sort of throw out information. Like you're not, the way you do it is perfect. I know I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, no, that's what I like. But it's like I think it's because of people like Spencer and like what you said. There's so many of these gurus and these charlatans. It's like you don't know who's genuine. So it's nice to see some people out there. And that was like another reason why I wanted to do these interviews is because like I think the fact of like I wanted people to see how like good of a person you are and like your personality behind what you do, because I know being like on YouTube, like I haven't felt it yet, thank God, but I mean, knock on wood here. But I haven't had any backlash. Everybody's been very supportive. They like my channel. I think it's because people don't really understand like what I do and how I do it. So I'm just showing it. But I've seen some times where, we'll talk about a little bit if you're free with that, is like how when you talk about something and you're unbiased and somehow somebody like roasts you in the comments, you're like, what is this guy talking about? It's like,
so, because the way that we do news on stuff is generally like we used to not have this rule, and it got me into trouble in the past. So we instituted it like maybe 3 years ago, where we don't really talk about something unless it's public in some way. Like some YouTubers talked about something, or there's an article on it that's legitimate, and generally that's how we keep ourselves out of trouble. Even still, when there's negative news on a creator that people really like, the amount of like just absolute like vile like sort of intention they will throw toward you is just crazy. Obviously, a lot of people love a lot of the larger channels that we talk about, whether it's like Daily Driven Exotics or Stradman, or in the most recent cases, like Matt's Off-Road Recovery is a good example. Beloved creator.
A huge channel.
Matt, I mean, million hits a video right now. Like definitely one of the fastest growing automotive like centered channels anywhere. There was a report that came out, I think it was like last December, about some insurance issues, about I think you overcharging or something like that.
Yeah, a little bit overcharged.
I don't want to say 100% because I can't remember the exact terminology, and that's important. If I don't know that, I'll make sure I say
Clarify,
that.
yeah.
But there were a number of articles about how, like, you know, he could face either some massive fines, like, you know, $10,000 plus, or in an absolute worst scenario, could face prison time. That was probably not going to happen. It was like a first offense thing, but you know, like there were a number, like The Drive did articles on that, which is a super reputable automotive source, and they weren't the only ones that did that, by the way. And like we even went the extra mile and like talked to the case officer in the Utah fraud insurance division, and like he like was able to be like, yeah, in the worst case scenario, like, you know, he would go to prison. Probably not going to happen. We said that in the video, and then also discussed everything The Drive had talked about, and like I got like death threats off of that. Like, how could you possibly go after Matt? He's such a nice guy. Like, obviously, like, you know, it's everybody at AAA that messed up. That could very well be the case. But the fact that it's like a pretty, like, it was a felony charge at the time, like that's a big thing. If any automotive YouTuber like that's over 100K gets a felony charge of anything,
yeah,
like we're going to
news.
talk about it,
yeah.
especially if it's being discussed in like mainstream publications like The Drive. But I mean, we got some real hate just for mentioning that article alone, and even doing the extra research I thought would give us more cover. By like, how do I, you know, if I talk to the Utah, like, you know, fraud insurance division,
yeah,
well, shouldn't that give me some cover against people that are just saying negative things about me?
Yeah,
and,
it's like you go out of your way, you're doing your due diligence, and you're providing a clear story and letting people come up with their own conclusions.
Yeah.
But yet, still, they want to come and roast people in the comment section or talk trash.
That's got to be my most disliked video of all time.
Oh, you think so?
Oh yeah, I mean, like they were big videos too. There was the initial video discussing what happened, and then there was the sort of judgment later, where I believe that they plead down to like a misdemeanor.
Yeah, I think it was like $8,000 or something.
Yeah,
it wasn't even anything major.
No.
It's like I'm sure he would have paid it just to get done of it.
But
like,
then we talked about the fact that like the judge had made like a final determination there, and like we got crazy hate on that video too. Even just discussing the fact that it ended up being a lesser charge afterward. But I think it was he pleaded no contest, I think, off the top of my head. But you know, and I felt bad because, like, you know, even Matt was getting in the comments, and like there was some people that were really going after him hard in the comments, and even he was like commenting on stuff, and I was like, you know, I wanted to be like, don't
it.
comment,
Yeah, don't jump in.
Like, there's going to be people that hate you. Like, it was almost weird. It was almost like a meta level of weirdness to be like, I know I'm going to get hate in the comments for talking about it, but I know that he saw some of the comments that were still against him in the comments, and I'm not against him at all. I just think it's worthwhile if like a large automotive YouTuber, this is our space,
yeah,
ends up going to court for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the fact of you talking about it and then getting roasted, and then he's jumping in the comment section, which I would have just leave it alone, because sometimes
I didn't touch it.
Once you start throwing mud, it gets on everybody. So, but I know that's just one of the instances. What are like a few more like, I guess, issues you've had where maybe one that's just like so ridiculous, like maybe kind of like what I did, like where I was mentioning Rob's video, not as the bad guy, but yet somehow somebody thought I was a bad guy and just started spewing a bunch of stuff.
Probably the most like early famous level of like weirdness that we ever dealt with was Salamandra stuff. So like early on, right in the beginning, we started doing news on him because he was like the largest automotive YouTuber at the time, bigger than anybody. Daily Driven Exotics was not really a thing. Stradman was like 300K. He was a massive YouTuber with crazy cars, and it had happened after the McLaren Senna fire. And so he had put up some like relatively strange videos of him like reacting and like claiming emotional distress afterward. And we thought like at the time, like it sounded like he was like a lot of the comments were like, it sounds like he's gearing up to sue McLaren over this like fire that happened on his like hypercar at the time. And so we like posed it as a question, like would Salamandra sue McLaren? And I don't know if it was after that or right after that. He hated the idea of us doing news on like stuff that he was doing. And he had like, this was also during the time where like paid a lot of YouTubers would do paid content on their website
Yeah.
days in advance, which was, I'm glad it's something that doesn't exist anymore
Yeah.
because it was an awful model in my opinion. I'm sure people made great money doing it. But like we would take like small snippets from the paid site way early. And it wasn't enough to like be an issue, but he got really mad at that. It's like, you can't report on my news if it's behind like a paid wall or paywall. So he would talk about stuff like that. And at one point he told me to effing like kill myself, I think it was, in a public comment. I can't remember the exact thing. I don't want to say the wrong thing because I haven't had issues with him for years. So I don't want to like gin up anything crazy. And he doesn't even do car stuff really anymore. It's a lot of like financial stuff now. His entire channel has been completely changed.
Yeah,
and he took like years off.
Yeah,
too.
I haven't even seen him like that. One day he took everything down.
I have no doubt that he's a nice guy. Like I think him and his early team didn't know how to react to someone else covering things that they were talking about and having a different like spin on what was being discussed.
Yeah.
That was also in my early days too. There are things that I probably wouldn't do anymore. But it was kind of a weird time. But that was definitely a weird thing too. I had so much hate from his fans. It was crazy. And all we were doing was repeating a lot of what he said.
Now, during all this stuff, have you been sued yet?
No. There's not really anything to sue over. We never make claims that aren't backed up by somebody else's words. And generally, everything that we talk about is always, it's an opinion. It's not 100% verified. Do your own research. We have a disclaimer on everything that we do. And that's on purpose. Like I'm never making 100% verified claims ever. Like we're just talking about like this is alleged.
Like you said, you're like reporting on a news article that's already out by somebody else most times, But like you said, you leave it open-ended. But that's some of the things I wanted to share with like the people watching is they don't realize, like I have friends, I won't say their names, but like that do similar news things, just not in the auto world. And they all have insurance for getting sued.
Oh yeah.
They have a whole legal team. Like
same here.
Yeah, I'm paranoid now. Now I'm just like I just talk about the car business. I'm like, is a bank going to come and sue me because I tell them they have too many repos? So
as long as you never say anything with 100% fact, like you're not stating a fact that people should know, like you're really generally covered. And it's hard to prove defamation. I mean, like we kind of saw it in like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. Like very, very, very difficult to prove. You can, but you have to prove malice on top of that most of the times.
Yeah.
And I don't have any hate for anybody that I talk about.
Yeah, I mean that's another reason why, like I said, I wanted to do the video is because when I think people will see this, I think they'll see you as like more of a person than a YouTuber because I've been pretty fortunate. I met a lot of really great people since I've been doing this the last year, and I just see what goes on behind the scenes, and it's like I see the interviews, I see people doing videos, I see their fans, and it's like I feel like once you get to a certain channel level, like yours is almost 300,000, I feel like people are like, okay, well you're up here, so they're just kind of like dehumanizing you. They're making you more of like just I guess person just to just talk trash that's not a real human being, and it's just like you are, and you're actually a nice guy. I think the fact that as we're doing this video, hopefully when they watch your videos now, they'll take everything with a grain of salt and be like, okay, he's just reporting on something, giving his opinion and sharing the information with everybody, not finger pointing, not benching. Exactly. It's like, here's the red pill, the blue pill. You swallow whatever one you want to take. It's up to you.
Generally, I don't ever say anything negative about any YouTubers. We might talk about a negative situation or something that happened that maybe doesn't seem like very palatable, but I don't ever trash talk anyone. People might think that I do, but it's normally people that don't actually watch my videos. I'm like, oh, he must be trash talking, whoever it is.
Yeah, the guy that reads the thing like problems with Whistling Diesel. Oh, you hate Whistling Diesel?
Yeah,
like, no, I don't.
Cody's a super cool guy.
Yeah.
Like, I have no problem. But like, that's the weird thing is that it is a little bit difficult to be like super close friends with a lot of people that I talk about because at some point or another something negative is going to happen that I'm going to have to talk about because it's important for people to want to watch that. Yeah. And honestly, because most of these YouTubers, like if something negative happens, there's no way they're going to talk about it themselves. And I think it's important for people to get a more full picture of what's happening. It might seem a little gossipy sometimes, and I totally get that. That's okay.
Yeah.
But we try to keep it like, with integrity as much as we can. And I mean, like, I know my titles are a little bit fun sometimes. I'll have a question mark or it's whatever. But it's
no, you got me clicking on it, yeah.
Generally lighthearted stuff for the most part. Although, man, the last couple of months has been horrible for tragedy. In all of my time covering automotive YouTube, I've never seen anything like the last
bad things. Yeah,
and not just people that we know, like that I know personally, and that people that like are just like I had like as acquaintances or used to talk about with. I mean, it's been absurd over the last couple of months. It's just like hit after hit after hit, and I was like, geez, like when does it stop? But that's also a tough thing too. Like until recently, like covering tragedy was not something that we had to do very often. And it's like now it's at the point where like we're doing it at least like every 2 weeks. It feels like there's something crazy happening. You know, it's bizarre.
Yeah, but the way you've been doing it, I mean, with professionalism and
we're trying
with kid gloves and giving everybody an open-ended
That's
opinion.
a good way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it because everybody gets so emotional now in the comment section, but I want to kind of lead this off with something, I guess, positive. So, what should people expect from like new things you got coming up for the channel? Because I know we talked a little bit offline about some of the things you have planned. I guess if you want to talk about your personal life or even just like YouTube, like. Is there anything new that's coming to the channel? New direction, new things, something you want to try, or something maybe even just brainstorming?
I'm trying to do more impactful videos. There was a period of time where I got in the habit of doing videos every day, which is, I think it was great for growth.
That's a grind. I don't know how you did that.
It was difficult. I don't know, like, and I complain about it, but then like Shmi did videos every day for like 8 years. It's like, and he would only take off, I think it was January 1st, so that he wouldn't have the urge to do 365 in a row. And I was like, I can't even fathom that. Yeah. So I don't have much room to complain here. But I'm trying to do more impactful videos. I'm trying to, it's a difficult thing. So like the thing that gets the most engagement is people, are videos about people, or YouTube channels that people really know. So it's like we have a lot of the same people in the headlines all the time. That's not because I want to be doing that. It's because that's what people react to.
Which is relevant at the moment, yeah.
We're trying to add in like a lot of things that are a little bit outside of that, but it's kind of a grind. Like it's difficult to do.
Well, I did notice a few of my other friends are doing YouTube, and we're all also talking about this. Like I'm posting 3 times a week.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of actually cutting that down, and instead of 3 times a week, going to maybe 2 times a week. Instead of putting out more content, maybe a higher quality content.
That's what I'm
maybe
trying
more
to do.
Impactful.
That's what I'm trying to do. So we're doing every other day right now. There are people that can get away with like very low levels of content quantity. Like Alex Choi is like probably the only person in the automotive community that can do this right now. But he also doesn't like rely on that money as much. So it's a little bit of a different thing. Like it's, he took like a year off and it wasn't like a big deal for him, but he came back and he's putting out really quality content, which I think is fantastic. But like he doesn't need that, it's just something he does. I would imagine just for like the fun of it more than anything else. And like, but it's difficult. I think it's going to shift toward quality over quantity as we move forward in the automotive community, which I think is a good thing. Yeah. It's just not enough time for everybody's content, which is half the reason why I do what I do.
Yeah. Well, I think that would you ever be open to doing like maybe like a Friday once a week, like 1 hour like show, like.
Oh, that is
to
a
me,
long time.
I know that sounds weird, but for some reason,
I would do a podcast.
Yeah,
I would do something like that.
I think that's like the evolution, because just even like with this, is the fact of we're talking about the news, we're talking about segments, and right now this is our first one, so there may not be a lot of different camera angles and slides, but that's okay. But I'm more importantly of the content and the quality of the content and the person I'm interviewing, because like I said, I've had interviews to go on other people's podcasts, but I don't like their stuff, so I won't go.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would do would be like a podcast. I think I would do a podcast, something like long form, like really open, discussing things maybe not even inside the automotive world as much. I mean, like I would, but like if we could branch out beyond that, I would love that.
That's kind of like, I feel that that's the next evolution of YouTube, is like,
I hope so.
We talked about like humanizing somebody, like making somebody feel like they're like a real person and they can connect on that level. I think that that's why people love podcasts, and that's why they're growing so much. Like, same thing, I'm a car guy, but there's so much more than I don't just live and breathe cars. I love music. I love doing stuff with my friends. I drove all the way here to Colorado just for fun to interview a buddy, and then look at some repos. So it's like, there's so much stuff we could talk about that's just outside of there that you don't get that human interaction with unless you're on like a podcast. Yeah, and I think that hits it home.
I love cars, but there's a lot of other things that I care a lot more about.
Totally.
So I'm opening up a new business this year. I've got a semi-truck company that I have on the side, like a lot of fun stuff, and like I have passions in those areas that are beyond automotive. I still love automotive though.
Oh, that's something real quick before we call it a day. Can you tell people, because I didn't know this, because like I said, if you meet this guy, like I said, one of the nicest people you ever meet, but he actually is a martial artist. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah. So I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for about 15 years this year. So I started when I was a little bit younger. Back in college, we had like a club, and that's actually how I met my wife too. Like we met in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Awesome. One awesome story. We'll have to hit that one next time.
Yeah, I mean, like it was super fun. She's awesome too at it, by the way. But I got my black belt after about a decade of training, and like I still train like 2-3 times a week, and I've never really taken any time off. It's a blast.
Yeah.
I've had a chance. I used to train back in Iowa where I used to live, and like I trained with like Robbie Lawler, and like Matt Hughes was out there, Jens Pulver was there, like early like UFC, like welterweight, lightweight, and heavyweight champs. Super fun, just an awesome experience, and I just do it for fun now, and I have been for 15 years.
Yeah, but just the fact of like, I'm sure when this video comes out, nobody even have a clue that you are literally a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
I don't really mention it that often. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's like, I think that's the soft flex. It's like, he could kick your ass, but he's not going to say so. He's just going to smile and be friendly.
I look really nerdy, so that's it's always funny because I have these people that are like, I'd love to be able to beat you up. Like, I hate your stuff. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, come roll around on the mat with me.
Yeah, I actually thought about this for a while. I thought about like inviting like haters out to like have like. I think it would be good for anybody. Like I think you learn a lot about somebody when you like spar with them in any sort of way. So I think it's super fun. So I'd love to have like haters out to like roll with me. I think it'd be really fun. That
would be like the most epic charity event. Like $1,000, you get to roll, you could talk trash, but then I think once they meet you, they're probably like, God, this guy's too nice. I don't want to be an asshole, and then you choke him out.
What's so funny is like every once in a while, I don't often go on like exotic car rallies, but like I had someone come up to me and be like, hey, I hated what you did to Salamandrin like 3 or 4 years ago. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, oh, you trash talked him. And I was like, I did? What did I say? And he's like,
yeah.
He had no idea.
Yeah, like I've only met one person that said, oh yeah, I don't watch his channel because he was mean. I'm like, who was he mean to?
Yeah, I was
what
like,
did he do?
Give me an example of who I've been mean to. Like if I've been unfair in an area, I would love to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, it's like more than likely, I go, he'll probably say something or even clarify, give you the opportunity to clarify it. But you know how it is.
I don't have problems with that. I mean, like even people that maybe don't necessarily don't like me, I really don't have a problem with. And you'll never hear me talk about it in public ever.
Yeah.
Like the people that I cover, like there are some people that I don't necessarily love, but I'm going to cover it unbiased and with. You'll never know who I don't like anyway.
Yeah.
Which I think is the way that it should be.
No, it is. I mean, like, I hate to sound like a broken record, but that's what makes you a good guy, is the fact that you're non-biased, you're stepping back. You could literally destroy these guys' career, or you could choke them out. Either one you want to go out. And it's like, but you're still at the point where you're like, I'm above this, let me step back. And I think that was one of the main reasons why, like I said, I wanted you to be our first automotive YouTuber.
Well, it's an honor, man. I really appreciate it.
So I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much. I know you're busy, so I'll get out of your hair, but I want to thank you again.
Yeah, man. It's a pleasure having you here.
We'll go hang out. We'll grab some food. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you check out Aaron's channel, Life of Palos. Also, what's your Instagram? It's just Life of Palos.
I think it's just life_of Palos. That was all that kind of stuff. If you type it in, I'm sure it'll pop up.
Yeah, make sure, like I said, if you have any type of automotive news, also reach out to him as well. Leave any information you want in the comment section below. I answer every single one, as you guys probably see. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next video.